The S80 came out in 1999 and it was discontinued only 3 years later. So there aren't that many about. I'm just going to go around some of the controls now and the outputs and show you some of the sounds. Here's just 3 of my favourite sounds. Okay, now let's have a look at some of the controls. Bank and voice selection switches are pretty much standardized. You've got a preset bank of 128 voices. These are subdivided into 8 instrument groups, each having 16 instruments. So 16 acoustic pianos, 16 organs, 16 brass instruments. So for instance, if you wanted a piano, you would press preset A1. Organ C3 or brass 1. Once you got bored with those 128 voices, you could select another 128 voices with preset 2, same again, A1 to H16. This time they would be completely different and not necessarily relate to these instruments. And then there would be the internal bank, which again was another 128 different voices, but this time these could be overwritten and changed to your heart's content. The external bank used 128 voices that were saved on a smart media card, which plugged into a little slot at the back behind the main front panel. And then there were plug-in boards which you could have, which had 64 voices each. The S80 has the standard pitch and modulation wheels. And these could be assigned to have different controllers. So this just, for instance, alters the volume of the strings on that particular voice. And there's the volume and control slider section, master volume. And these control sliders, which were the 4 elements that make up each voice. So this voice has piano and strings, and you could take out the strings or the piano. So you can break up each voice into its respective 4 elements. Next, the main display and its associated rotary controllers. Classic display, 2-line by 40 character. Classic of the time, very difficult to understand. Everything was always abbreviated and also very difficult to program. You would program various fields. These are the 5 fields which relate to these 5 controllers, and you could assign these to anything like volume, pan, and that sort of thing, reverb. These 3 are set as a default as a graphic equalizer, low, medium and high. But basically you could assign these controllers to pretty much anything. The page control allows you to select various screens, and the data control adjusts a parameter that you're playing with up and down. And then more function keys. If you pressed performance, there were 128 A1 to H16 again, different types of performance, which were combinations of voices, up to 16 voices. So you could have drum patterns and sequences going and everything. So for instance, performance C1 sounds like this. Incidentally, I forgot to mention the drum sounds, which you can select by pressing preset 1 and then preset 2. 8 drum kits sound something like this. There's the classic built-in sequencer that allows you to show off to your friends how good your keyboard is. Then there's various utility functions that allow you to note shift or fine tuning. Card allows you to load and save patches from memory card. Job allows you to initialize a voice if you want to start again making up your own voice. And edit, you would go in to change any other parameters. And then you would finally store them into memory. On the back we've got the standard MIDI in, out and through sockets. Like an S connector which connects to various PCs and Macs. I've got it set on MIDI so I can just receive MIDI information. Breath controller, foot switch and sustain just for a standard sustain pedal. Sockets for an FC7 foot controller. 2 individual switched outputs line level. 2 more outputs with just 1 left mono jack output if you wanted it. Phone socket. A to D input, this is for main, just using a microphone for instance, and a gain control for that microphone. This is where you plug in your smart media card, and these are the expansion slots for the plug-in boards. Here's just a better view of the back there. So there it is, some of the features on the Yamaha S80 keyboard.